Alright, the game changes now. Let's start the video with first understanding about narcissism. Well guys, we are here just for the knowledge, or most of you are here because while being with someone very close to you, you must have felt that, oh, this person just rubs me the wrong way. Why I am being treated like this? And sometimes you feel like you are just going crazy. But now you will be having some understanding behind it, and after watching this video, you will be able to cope with it in a better way and so to make your life more peaceful. Narcissism or Narcissistic Personality Disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. The disorder is named for the mythological figure Narcissus, who fell in love with his own reflection. According to Sigmund Freud, an Austrian psychoanalyst, narcissism is a normal stage in child development, but it is considered a disorder when it occurs after puberty. So, to identify who a narcissist actually is, let's go deep and understand it. A narcissist is someone who thinks highly of themselves, being very grandiose, lacks empathy for others, and seek constant admiration. They may act arrogantly, control others, and avoid dealing with frustrations. They often don't care about other people's feelings, but they may act like they do. They tend to be very dishonest. Now, to get a holistic view, there are two faces of narcissists. Not all of them display grandiose behavior like, here I am so great. There is also a flip side to narcissism, which is that very coward, vulnerable side. They feel like the world is not fair. They feel the world is not just. It can be a very dangerous form of narcissism because they are sort of sullen and broody. They often walk around very much of victim mentality. So those are the two faces of narcissism, and in the same narcissist, you can have both. It literally depends on how their life is going, but in its macro, whether you are vulnerable or whether you are grandiose, both forms of narcissism lack empathy, that entitlement, and that arrogance. The point to be noted here is that not all the persons who show narcissistic traits actually have the disorder. Some people can have these traits without having the disorder. So now the question arises, what is the difference between someone who is narcissistic and someone who has a narcissistic personality disorder? The big difference is more of a technical issue. Whenever we talk about a disorder, it is that the person is experiencing either some kind of impairment or distress due to their behaviors or their symptoms. Classical example would be somebody, for example, he is depressed. A person who is depressed has irregular sleep, feels sad and cannot concentrate and feels worthless. They are uncomfortable, and on the top of that, this is probably causing them problems at work, in their relationships or in their lives. That impairment distress idea makes sense. All of us have sad days, but the idea that how long the sadness lasts identifies it to be a disorder. Now talking about a narcissistic personality, here is where it gets tricky. A lot of people with these patterns have no impairment. They are getting promotions, they are getting the girl or the guy. They can be very financially successful, and every one of us thinking that they are so cool. So where is the impairment and distress we are talking about? That distress and impairment comes from how their behavior affects others. But they often defend and rationalize their actions, not realizing the harm they cause. Diagnosing narcissism is not only about making others unhappy. We have to consider a lot of other factors to diagnose it as a disorder. Now talking about percentage ratio, narcissistic personality disorder is seen in about 1 to 5% of people, but narcissistic traits may be more common, maybe even more than 50%. Some people who watch videos on narcissism realize they might have these traits, like not caring about others' problem. But it is essential to recognize the importance of empathy and caring for others in building close relationships. Here I want to mention that narcissism is not a harm until or unless it becomes an abuse. So narcissistic abuse is when someone constantly ignores, disrespects, lacks empathy, and shows cold indifference towards the other person that causes significant stress, psychological harm, or distress to that individual. Typically looks like one partner manipulating the other for personal satisfaction. It is not fully defined, but many talk about it. At its worst, victims may appear to have post-traumatic stress disorder due to the severe distress caused by a narcissist. And we will talk about post-traumatic stress disorder in our upcoming videos. It hurts their relationships, it hurts them at school, hurts them at work. While the people who are narcissistic are not experiencing distress and impairment, only the people who are experiencing their abuse are. So why do they do this to people they say they love and care about? When you get that question, the psychologists get it two complicated things. Number one, what is love? The love may sometimes only appear on the surface or in words, even when it is not genuinely felt or demonstrated through actions. The narcissist may say they love or care for you, but their actions might not always reflect that love or care. In other words, their words and actions may not align. This disconnect between what they say and what they do can lead to confusion and hurt for the other person involved. I think that's actually because a lot of people say, she says she loves me. Then how can she do this to me? She must not love me. Here you have to understand something, guys. It is something that lacks the depth that a healthy, intimate relationship has. It tends to be what we call very instrumental. So in other words, it is much like a cup of a coffee. I like it only when I want to drink it. And some days or even for weeks, I don't even think about it because I don't need it. That is how narcissists treats people. They are focused on what benefits them conveniently, otherwise they simply disregard other people's feelings or even punish them for exposing their feelings. Narcissists often have superficial and transactional relationships which can be unpleasant. So, this is the abuse. When you feel you are getting manipulated, when you feel you are being used, when you see that the criteria of a healthy relationship is not getting fulfilled. So that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give me your feedback if you have enjoyed the video, and also subscribe to this channel so that we can help each other throughout this series. In our next session, we'll discuss the signs of narcissistic abuse in your partner.